Good morning, Tone. Well, good morning, Hipper. I should say Admiral Hipper. Oh, are we gonna stick to Japanese cruisers? I should just call you B. What starts with a B? There are no Japanese cruisers that start with a B. Is B just one of those names that don't, or a W, right? No, you can't be a B cruiser or a W cruiser. Suzuya. The thing about Japanese is that's weird is that they don't break down the syllables where I would think that they would break them down. My favorite I worked at a hobby store for many years, several years, and the gold standard. I don't know that this was invented back then, or they didn't have it. Um, I don't know when the hell this came out, but these models were the gold standard, and I still think very highly of their models. They just don't make things in the scale I want them to. But we used to call this brand Tamaya. That's how we used to call them, and that's wrong on so many levels. But there's no Japanese people here to correct me. So it really, most people call it really Tamiya, which is what I've tried to do. I may slip and still call it Tamaya, but Tamiya. But I believe the way they say it is Tamiya, and I'm like, yeah, that I can't figure that stuff out. Marcus figured that out though, or they wouldn't have let him in that country. Good morning, Marcus. So I made a boo boo. It's not a big one, and when I was painting this yesterday, I'm like, I know there's some stuff with this. I thought I didn't give this thing a wash. What I forgot is it was this I never gave a wash. So I'm gonna go ahead and wash the truck, and just so it doesn't look so pristine. I don't know. Do I even need to? Yeah, I'm gonna do that to be consistent. I'm gonna give it a strong tonal wash. Then I'll have to dry brush over it. I knew there was something, and I'm like, man, why is this so rosy looking? What's your truck's name? Rosie. Strong tone, right? Let's make sure we use the right one. Let's just put too much down while we're at it. Moron. I don't have my eyes in. I can't think. I make so many, I make so many blundery mistakes when I'm wearing glasses or things like that. Like I call it mole man. It's mole man condition, and I frequently get the dates of my things wrong. So I look at it, I'm like, okay, the next date is it's not the 7th today, because it happens to be my mom's birthday. I'm like, no, it's the 6th, and yeah, so I had to go back and correct like a couple days ago. I had the wrong date on one of my video feeds. Whatever, shit happens. Yeah, morning painting. I've been pretty consistent to be able to do. I'm up every morning. It's just a matter of instead of surfing the web, I'm just doing this. So I appreciate you guys coming along and putting up with my whatever nonsense comes out of whatever nonsense comes out of me. So just as a recap, we will be on. I better grab this. Um, I will be on tomorrow morning, and Sunday morning. At least that's the idea. It looks like. and you'll just have to stick around to see if that's really the case. I'm nearly done with the Crusader video. It's I think like 20 minutes. I fell asleep at lunchtime and it was playing, so I mean the battles are all gone. It's just like the recap and stuff that I got to do. Then I'll take a look at that Pacific video, and I hope I hate it. I hope that Pacific video is the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life, so I won't be tempted by anything. I'm pretty sure I can resist the temptation. Look where this spring is. There's a spring on the back. I don't know if you can see it. There's a spring on the back of the hook. You know those, what do you call those things? A leaf spring? I don't know. When you got one piece of metal like this, and you got a shorter one on top of it, and a shorter one on top of that, and a shorter, and they're bound together, so that you could just hear them go, that annoying sound that they make. There's one between the actual end of the truck and the hook. I've never seen something like that. I remember them being something of a blame game. It's great for me, more predictable than the evenings. Yeah, I prefer the evenings because I don't have a hard stop. But it is what it is. Hey, you're the boss. You can take today off, can't you? Well, actually, technically, I don't even have to go into work. I choose to. And believe me, it is the smart choice, especially if I plan on coming back. Because let's say, for instance, I decided not to go into work today. It would ruin the lives of everybody else that's there, and it would ruin my life when I got back, having to fix everything. So yeah, I'm there. I mean, that's what they take roll call for in school, right? So you get indoctrinated that you got to be at work every day. Some people apparently don't listen. I know people in the past that, they would miss like one day every month. I'm like, man, if I missed one day every month, I wouldn't want to go back. That's just a nightmare. And it's not about getting stuff done. It's like, what's happening to the stuff that you're supposed to be in charge of while you're not there? So like those days that the whole plant closes and no one's there, that's my favorite vacation. Because you can just leave like that sheepdog, the bullhorn hits. I can't do it in a real voice. I'll wake her up. Time for, and you just let's go with the coyote until they pick up where they left off the next day. I say that even when I was a kid. I'm like, oh, so that's what it's like to work at a union job. And don't get me wrong. I mean, unions had a purpose, and I would say unions still have a purpose. And I've never worked at a union job, and I've never worked at a place that wasn't right to work, which basically means they can fire you for whatever reason. Just do your job. They won't get rid of you. I mean, unless you're working for somebody sinister. Don't work for a sinister person. Used to love that cartoon. Friends after work, enemies at work. Yeah. My favorite of those cartoons is definitely Bugs Bunny and the Bull. That's the best one. I believe that one episode's called A Bully for Bugs. That's the best one, in my opinion. Because that's another one of those that the coyote always gets screwed. You know, like nothing ever goes his way. It's like it's a little too one-sided. It's like a sitcom where everybody gets picked, where just one person gets picked on, which really doesn't happen. Most sitcoms, it's everybody gets a piece, right? Everybody gets picked on. Um, well, I need to order some paint. Is Vallejo still on strike? Technically, I don't think they've asked to not buy their products. I believe, but I don't know. I thought being part of the European Union would basically keep them from like their pay being so low or whatever. If it doesn't do stuff like that, then why be part of the European Union? You know. I wouldn't want to be part of the EU. They have a shitty flag. There you go. That's enough reasons whatsoever. Your flag sucks. Well, it's not offensive, exactly. A flag that takes no risks. You know, I was looking through I was adding to my Crusader tank name thing, right? And I'm gonna have a ton of shit. It's unbelievable what's out there, and that's not me making up. It's just compiling all the different things, and I came across somebody who had painted an A-10, not the aircraft, the cruiser Mark II cruiser, I believe is what it's called, and it was a command vehicle. Man, there's so much goop here. It was a command vehicle that had a Union Jack painted on the roof. And it, you know, as much as as cool as I think the Union Jack looks, it doesn't look right painted it doesn't look right painted on the roof. I mean, it wasn't a flag that they used; they just painted it on, and it just looks like out of place. Let's put this over here. And I don't know if that's a legitimate one or whatever, but you know, it was an HQ vehicle. It might have been the CO's vehicle. Commanding officer. Well, Ben, I'm surprised you haven't been to some of those museums. Maybe I definitely should do a video then, so that way you can see what it's like, and you can have my usual color commentary as I get thrown out of the place. Good horse names. Well, if I decide to do that squadron, I don't know what I'm going to do. Here's one thing you guys can help me with, and I haven't had a chance to look at this. I need to stop calling it a squadron and a regiment. I need to call it a battalion and a platoon. How many tanks are in one of those British platoons? Is it like 15 or something like that? I honestly don't know. You don't know either, huh? I found it difficult. I get too many modern answers. I get too many modern, in the Gulf War, that kind of stuff. The other thing I found out is the flags that you see on the tanks, the color of them have to do with the same color that goes with the regiment that they're in. I don't know the number of flags, what it means. And I'm sure they changed, like if their mission was different. But I have a feeling that the CO's vehicle and each one of those squadrons has a flag up on his thing of the same color that the markings are on the tank. So if it's a tank that's the first regiment that uses, don't use regiment, the first battalion, the brigade that uses red, the senior one, it has red flags. The second one, yellow flags. The third one, blue flags. And the reason I say that is because I looked at a decal set for a model, and it had them on there for you to cut out and put on there, and they're in the same color that the markings were on the vehicle. Yeah, so if I was doing Gazala or what was it, Alamein or whatever, I'd be dying to do a Lee. I'd be dying to do a Lee called Battleship. It just sounds great. A Lee in British service. That thing's got a wall of machine guns because it has the cupola or the cupola equivalent. I don't know if it's actually a real cupola or not, with a little machine gun turret up there too. That's a lot of guns. It's got a lot of guns on that thing. Yeah, I don't know about the number of flags, but the color of them has to do with the regiment. And it makes sense. Wouldn't you want to know where the CO is? In case the radios broke down? It also seems that like the 22nd Armored Brigade, which is the one that was on loan from the First Armored Division, did not have division markings on it. I haven't figured out what arm of service or the unit of service markings on them yet. Because what happened is the units that were on the continent used a certain system. In the desert, you just throw it out the window. There was different changes. So there's numbers. The numbers I use for Crusader won't even match other periods in the desert. It's really weird. So like the Crusaders, at least the markings that I've seen on the Crusaders of that period, don't match the other two regiments, the other two brigades. I just haven't had a lot of time to really sit there and spend a ton of time in it. Like okay, everybody's gone. Spend the next 12 hours figuring this out. I really would be able to make some serious headway. I just make a little room here, a little room there. I went and looked at that one scenario called Blazing Chariots for an advanced squad leader. And that what that scenario is you got 12 honeys that are just barreling down on basically a blank board against Kampfgruppe Stefan of the 21st Panzer Division at the beginning of Operation Crusader. In that particular scenario, the British have 12 honeys, and the unit is the 4th Armored Brigade, 5th Royal Tank Regiment. So that would be the one that... what does it have? It's not the... Is that the one that's the cities? No. Let's see what I have. Race horses with... No. That's the C Squadron of the Irish one. No, all tank names begin with an E. Elephant, Ele. Yeah. No, I have a later version than this. Why is Excel acting so fucking weird? Like I scroll and like stuff's missing. It's a simple program that I've used for 30 years. Why is it acting like it's handicapped? Yes, re-download, and this time don't give me a GIMP copy of it. See, can I turn this sideways? Good. So here's the document on the 8th Royal King's Royal Hussars so far. Some examples of some tanks, and this is from Mirage Models. No, I'm sorry, Mini Art. But this is all the same unit. It gives me tank numbers. All of this one doesn't have an arm of service number, but has the Jerboa on it. This one doesn't have an arm of service number, and has a Jerboa on it. This is Cameronian, which is one of the horses that wasn't listed as one of them, but it fits into the C category. And this is the one that actually has the camouflage paint on the roof. You'll be damn butter believe I'll be doing that one, because it's just crazy with that color on the roof. And this one doesn't have a tank name on it, but it has a tank number on it. What else did we add to this? Did we add anything to the 7th Armored Brigade? Yep. 7th Armored Brigade, which is the one that I did for this one. 7th Armored Brigade, Queen's Own Hussars. That's what this one is. That's what this arm of service is. Because I know for a fact that one definitely had A10s, and A13s in it. I found an example named... This is one that a couple days ago I said that I didn't have any information on it. A squadron has tanks name begin with a squadron letter. So these are all A numbers. So this one is an A13 called Amy. So, not exactly a badass name. So anywho, maybe we'll turn that other one into Amy. Or some other girl name. Annabelle. Something. Yeah, it's not the flag, it's the the tank symbol. It looks unbelievable, you know, but I think this game could handle 6 tanks on 6 tanks. Actually, not that bad. It's when you start throwing the tanks and the infantry and whatever. Actually, the problem is looking stuff up. If you play it enough and you don't have to look things up, it actually moves around along just fine. You know, but I've already found stuff that the rules don't cover that I'm perfectly happy with because since it's not a tournament game, I can do whatever seems makes sense to me. And then I've found in all of those model kits, it gives you paint what colors to use. And I used the set from AK, kind of. I used this, but I didn't use this as the base color. I didn't use this for Portland stone or the light stone. I haven't yet. I used the ones from MIG from that, and and I don't have the other colors in MIG, but I have the Vallejo equivalents. So some I may just do with Vallejo, just to see how they look a little differently. The big variation is the middle color. Here it's kind of like definitely has a green hue to it, and other times it has a little bit of a blue hue. So we may do something with the other with using the other shades just to see how it looks differently. I'm sure there was variations. Yeah, well, that particular battle, that that blazing chariot scenario has part where there's a you're leaving dust behind everywhere they go. So it's I got that extra fluff that I'm probably going to airbrush some of it. Yeah, so I've never worked at a union place. I've never worked at a place that they couldn't fire you just if they felt like it. And I've also never worked for somebody who's a middle type manager that would take credit for your work to make you, you know, and then not give you credit for it. So I know a lot of those things happen in the workplace, and I don't want those things to happen. I've never, and I've also never worked for somebody who's been at the job less time than I have. And I think that would bug me, you know. I mean, like you're doing a job for 30 years in my case, and somebody comes in that just showed up with the company for a year, and you got to work directly under them. I'm like, that would bug me, you know. It's like, where were you, dude? Or a job hopper dude. Every 2 years or somewhere different. Let's hope I don't have to do that. Here today, gone tomorrow type people. Okay, we didn't do little wheel thingies here. You little wheel thingy. Oh, good. This dried quick. All right, good. We can do this, and then we'll go back and do the overall color on that. I just didn't want to miss out on having a little bit of that, of kind of a brown tint to this, a brown filter. In other words, that didn't exist for use in that way. Got to refresh your coffee. I'm gonna take a guess that you'd probably drink your coffee black, like I do. It keeps you from drinking it too fast. If you make the coffee too yummy, it's like, okay, now where's more coffee? One of the things that I'm looking forward to spending 2 days in London is have that freaking tea that you guys rave about. You guys rave about that Yorkshire tea. We got to see what the hell that's about. I'll have to bring my own ice cubes because you guys don't have ice over there in the old world. I'm a spoiled American and put ice in everything. I don't put ice in soup, but I was telling my wife about that yesterday. She says, "Yeah, that Yorkshire. What's it called?" And she goes, "Yorkshire pudding." I said, "I'm not putting any puddings in my mouth. Sorry, I've already had that experience before. Nope. No. You guys eat stuff I don't want to eat. It's more for you guys. I should try Jeffrey's world famous beans and toast. Nope. The first thing I miss when I travel somewhere is the food, and I mean the food from home. And it's not that I don't want to try food from other places. It's that you guys eat stuff that we don't eat. And I don't necessarily mean England. I mean even when I go to Spain, you're like I'm not gonna eat rabbit. I don't give a shit how good rabbit is. I'm not eating it. I don't need to eat meat that bad to eat rabbit. There's one of the places that we're going to. They're like that we're supposed to go to in Spain. They said, "Oh, you got to try this name for something that they have," and it's basically like a suckling pig or something like that. I'm like, I don't want to eat anything suckling. I'm not a big fan of eating pigs with a face on them, if you know what I'm saying. Every time I've had it, the pig tastes, and I'm a pig fan. Okay, I love ham and pork and things like that. But anytime I've had a pig with a face on it, there's some bites that taste weird, and I'm not eating weird parts of the pig. It just tastes like I don't like this taste of this meat. That's no pig. Yeah, it is because you can see it. Unless they put other meat in there and sewed it in there. We got this. We got this cat. We don't know how to get rid of. What do we do? Well, sew it inside of a pig, and we'll send it over to these folks, and they'll eat it. That doesn't happen to me in the United States. I don't go somewhere. I'm like, man, these people in fill in the blank eat weird stuff. The only time that's ever even remotely happened is it's like hard to get a good Philly cheesesteak. It's very very hard to get a good Philly cheesesteak, and they always seem to mess it up with the whatever the cheese they use. But barring that, I don't go a place like, man, this tastes freaking weird, man. This pork they use here just tastes odd. Doesn't happen. It's never happened to me in the United States. That actually might be a good idea. Go to Europe and just have a vegetarian diet while you're over there. Don't have to worry about it then. Well, this stupid little vehicle. These dumb bastards decided to put these holes in the headlights. So I better fill those in, or that's going to be a problem for me down the line. I can't look in there without glasses. What's this? Old Tester's contour putty. Yeah, we don't want to use that shit. Where's the Viejo one? Is that or is that AK? Are these the people that are this? The people this they have slaves working for them? Yeah. Well, I have wondered why paint that comes all the way from Spain is pretty darn cheap. So their products aren't expensive. I don't know that I want to squirt the whole thing in there. Let's. Okay. You take your coffee black, Marcus? I bet you do. This is the problem with this MIG is it's so damn watery, and when you shake it, you get all this stuff in places you don't need it. And it smells interesting. And it's not a bad smell. It almost smells like a chlorinated pool. Almost. Something like that. You put order for what we call the base goop, and Michigan Toy Soldier has on back order. I use a Vallejo product. Yes, either black or with only a hint of whole milk so it looks chocolate brown. Okay. So no sugar. Yeah, we've got one of those Nespresso makers, and it makes like this foam built in, just like it's like a byproduct of it, and it has it cuts the bitterness of it. I mean, it's actually still pretty bitter, but that's what we've been using. Because if you make a whole pot, I drink too much. So I don't drink that much coffee, but I usually have it black. I never have sugar in it. Sugar makes me angry and sleepy. Yeah, it's like I never understood this thing that people eat donuts for breakfast. Like, why would you want to eat something for breakfast that's going to put you back to sleep? You know, like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like I'm gonna wake up and have a donut. What? So you go back to sleep? No, if you're gonna wake up and you want to get stuff done, do some cocaine. You know, do something that's gonna keep you awake, not go back to sleep. We got things we got to do, man. So if you add sugar to it, that happened to me. I didn't realize that until I went. I think it's when I took a trip to Historicon, and I'm like, all right, I got to stay awake. So I'm gonna go in this stop when we get fuel. I'm gonna go buy an energy drink. Well, what I didn't realize is the energy drink did have a lot of caffeine or whatever other caffeine like things are in it that aren't caffeine to keep you awake, but it also had a ton of sugar. So it was like useless. It wasn't doing any good, you know? You know, you'd sugar crash. So you basically were just spending money and drinking calories. Okay, now we got a hint of some brownishness there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this black lining and let's black line the parts of the truck that we want to stand out. Even though I should probably finish doing these wheels, but I don't really want to grab the wet wheels while I do this. I wonder what my recap is going to be of what I do and don't like about Europe in my limited European trip. Except that food thing didn't apply in Canada. Other than the stupid ketchup chips they have up there, the food in Canada was better than in the United States. And I mean in the places that I go to, because there's crappy food everywhere, but I'm like, the food's good here. Or used to be good here, pre-COVID. Canada was awesome. Or at least where we went in Canada was awesome. I don't think that's going to be the case when I go to Europe. I hope I'm wrong. I got raided. My paper towels got raided again. Be right back. I haven't been to Spain, but I really like the food in Portugal. Lots of good seafood. I think I would find Portugal annoying because I could kind of understand what they're saying, but I kind of don't. And honestly, I think I'm gonna have a lot of trouble with the language in Spain because they speak really fast and they used slang that I'm not used to hearing. Like even other, Latin American countries here in the New World, they have more in common with each other than they do the Spanish lingo. So I don't know. I got like a couple weeks to straighten their ass out. Well, we're gonna do a fair amount of driving. At least that's what the intention is. And it's got to be better than I honestly am terrified of driving in Italy. I don't know. I don't know that I want to drive in Italy. I just have this perception that it's going to be like Miami with everybody on crack. In these shitty little cars that are shitty in the sense that they're unsafe. Because everything's big here. Not that I have a big vehicle, but. went to Mexico recently, earlier this year. One of the things that I actually enjoyed, that I didn't think I was going to enjoy, was not driving. And I don't mean that because I don't like the drive. I actually do like the drive. But if something happens to the car, if it's a fender bender, if somebody gets too close, nothing cataclysmic, but just like a ding or a dong or something like that, it's not my fucking problem, right? So I don't have that stress of. So I generally like to drive. I don't like putting my life in people's hands if I can avoid it. As I'll see somebody on the highway, I'm like, that guy's not driving well. So I'm either going to lay back and have him kill everybody up there, or I'll pass him one lane over and leave him in the dust. I'm not like, well, I have a right to drive here next to him. I'm like, I'm not putting up with that shit. I don't put up with people that cast doubt into the competency level and, get me killed. I see a crazy person, I go, we're going this way. So if I'm not driving, I can't do that, so. And I've been the passenger with people that I don't enjoy traveling with. I've been people that are like calm all the time, and they get behind the wheel and all of a sudden they're like super aggressive. I'm like, don't be aggressive. Don't freaking get me killed while you're driving, dude. So I'm always on the lookout for other people. So I like to be the driver, but man, I didn't have to worry about, parking somewhere and getting a scratch on a rental vehicle or, it was kind of nice. Depends on where in Italy. The city was crazy. Not as crazy as New York City, but the countryside was easy. Well, in New York City, the lanes are optional. There'll be like 5 lanes and they'll get 7 cars in there. You go to Miami and the traffic lights are optional. It turns red, bucket, people still go through. But I live in a normal place, like where you're from, Marcus, where you don't take somebody else's parking spot. It's dishonorable shit. Stuff like that. Let's start the morning breakfast. Catch you later or during the weekend. You got it, man. Okay, it's time for the rest of you guys to step up for the next 15 minutes or so. I gotta figure out if there's some canvas stuff that's on here. I think the roof is canvas. I think this little tent is canvas. And I think this little overhang is canvas. And I think that is canvas also on that side. I'm gonna have to take a look at pictures. And we're gonna paint it similar to the canvas that's on the tractor. I think we used khaki or English uniform and blended it. One of those two. Or maybe it was this green brown. I think that's what it was. It was the green brown. Yeah, we didn't hear from anybody this morning other than Ben. Ben showed up, called me a Japanese cruiser, and left. Charlie Fulton. Good morning. What are we painting? We're painting some desert rat vehicles. We got a couple of quad tractors here, all 1/72nd scale from Plastic Soldier Company. They come with the 25-pounders and the limbers. Those are done. Well, they need to be sealed, and we need to put unit markings on them. But other than that, they're pretty much done. And this is a little Morris tractor from Airfix with a Bofors AA gun. That's what we're working on right now. The slow, it's not slow. It's therapy. You don't want to rush your therapy, do you? You won't be cured then. You won't be cured if you rush your therapy. Yeah, desert rat stuff. Just like this guy, it's done. A13. Probably looks like crap on the video. Oh, I never put the antenna on it. We need to do that. Well, we also need to put a name on it and the squadron markings. We can wait until we got a couple of other tanks to go together. That one's actually sealed. What are you working on? And what part of the world are you from? Charlie Fulton. That sounds like an American name. At least the Charlie part is. Are there people in Britain named Charlie? I guess so, but that just has a U.S. connotation to it. I could be wrong. Exactly. Just started painting miniatures in September, and I say all the time, it's the best therapy ever. Yes, they're with the intention of for a game, but if I don't get to play the game, it doesn't really matter. So I'm building models with the intention of they can be for game use, as opposed to somebody who just rushes and throws this stuff together because they want to roll dice. Like, that's not my philosophy, you know. I've seen too many games where people just throw things on the tabletop because they want to hurry up and roll dice and the stuff looks half finished. I'm like, that's not me. Yeah, I tell people this keeps me from being an active shooter or an alcoholic. And of course, I'm being that in jest, but you get the point. Everything that happens here goes well. Even when I make mistakes, it's still good because I can fix them. You're in South Carolina. Yeah, Southerner. Been building both Warhammer and Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar. That's like I'm not a Games Workshop player. Age of Sigmar, that's like the new tactical Warhammer game, right? Where you're just building like a fire team or something like that. I mean, obviously it's not a fire team because it's medieval. Well, it could be. You could have a fire team of like arrow guys, you know, like bowmen. It's a bowman fire team. Actually, I'm in Florida, so you're actually south of me. South Carolina is more southern than Florida. And I'm not necessarily in a very Yankee southern place, Florida place, which there are many, but I've been through South Carolina. You're definitely south of us. So's Georgia, for that matter. Sigmar is fantasy side. Oh, okay. You may have meant to say Warhammer 40K then, because they have like a fantasy Warhammer. I haven't played any of it, but seems like that stuff is like some of those games. What is it? Kill Team and Sigmar are probably like smaller scale stuff like Mordheim was. I never played any of them. All I know is everybody's ever played Mordheim just can't stop talking about how good it is. No, never painted any 28 millimeter stuff. It's not my kind of scale. I'm just too old for that. I just didn't grow up with it. I didn't grow up with 28 millimeter. But that's fine. I don't care what scale people do things in. There's some people that do 12s and stuff like that. This is just the scale I grew up in. Oh yeah, let's do this grading because that makes a big difference. I know a lot of these British vehicles are unreliable, but so are the German vehicles. When I was growing up, You either make miniatures or you made rules. You didn't do both. You didn't like, hey, let's make some rules and we'll provide some miniatures, so you'll have to play them. You have to use our miniatures to. That mentality just didn't exist. Maybe people weren't so consumer related, or they hadn't figured that out yet. But so my miniatures are, I believe the correct terminology is rules agnostic. Even though Plastic Soldier Company does push out their, I think they do battle something. I don't know. They have a game, but it's not detail oriented enough for me. This is kind of like for a light role playing game. You're not using a ton of stuff at once. Yeah, this is therapy. The playing the game isn't necessarily therapy, because there's some people that you play with that you probably don't want to play with ever again, and it might be if you're playing in some kind of environment that's not under your control, like at a hobby store or something like that. You're going to get stuck with whoever shows up, and there's some people that are just, they're not happy with their lives and they feel like they have to make up with it on the tabletop. And the tabletop involves social cues and die rolls, and things aren't going to necessarily go your way. The other guy's trying to, like I like to say, the other guy's trying to win too. And if you meet up and you try and play a game with somebody that's like that, they're trying to make up for all the things that have gone south in their day or week or life. I don't want to play with people like that. You know, you're just enjoying building and painting, so I haven't even played yet. There you go. I don't think I'd like their games. I think their miniatures are pretty cool. They're just a theme that doesn't. I don't have time for that. You got to choose. You got to choose what you do, or you just do little bits and pieces of different things. And wargaming is super cheap if you just paint the stuff that you buy. I mean, this is like an $8 model, and it'll probably take me more than 8 hours to paint it. So it's pretty damn free, you know. Pretty damn free. But that's what I do. I get on here. I don't want to paint alone. So any kind of little bit of social interaction I can get is all the better. Just gotten to the point where it's too difficult to play with people. You got to take, well, this guy's got a weird schedule, or this guy's off when I'm on. It's just like, it's just too much work. It's like, let me just paint when it's convenient for me. And that's gotten me by the last couple of years, anyways. I don't do well staying up late. Starting games late in the evening. You get home at midnight. Those rest of your week off. I already don't get enough sleep. I certainly don't need to stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. If I don't start my next morning at 5, I'm pissed off. I don't care if it's a day off. I want to start my day painting without any interruptions. Then at least you had something good that happened in your morning, something productive. And the last couple of weeks, I normally don't paint them on a work day. I've been painting before I go to the salt mines for an hour or so. And it's worked out pretty well. Today should be an easy day. That's right, I shouldn't have said that. Expect every day to be a bitch at work. We have our holiday barbecue, which I can't imagine you guys that are lucky enough to be able to drink in a work environment. That must be awesome. 'Cause we don't have that luxury. We would have problems. We have many people that work. We have an industrial type job, so even though I'm in management, but some people just they wouldn't know how to behave. It'd be a disaster. You can't mix construction type workers and alcohol. They just that's a bad combination. So it's a dry party, which is no party at all. I rarely drink, but I like to, and I behave better. I'm a lot happier. Let's put it that way. Well, that's where we're gonna have to stop this morning. But we're coming along. These guys are done. They are a different shade on purpose. This is looking kind of pinkish, but we haven't done the other dustings as well. They'll get a little closer in color by the time we're done. It's actually this lightest color on here is the same color as this one, so they get pretty close. You take a vehicle, you just put it in the desert, you drive around in a circle. They can all be different colors. If you drive them enough of them together, they're going to all become a similar color because they're going to have the same dust and the dirt and stuff that they're all involved in. So they become more similar other than dissimilar. All right, folks. Well, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, they don't really. This video doesn't really do them justice. Um, Hell, the photo doesn't even do them justice. I've got this light that's great for painting, but it washes out all the freaking colors. Let's see if I can give you a more representative. Here we go. Takes a while to paint, but you got to be doing something. People are like, how do you have time to paint like this? Well, how much TV do you watch? Although I would argue that a lot of people aren't watching as much TV as they used to. They're just surfing a lot. I don't watch any television. It's not. You just watching other things happen. Let me show you what the quad tractors look like. And they haven't been sealed yet, so when they get sealed, it kind of evens everything out. There's some parts that are glossy that shouldn't be glossy on there that look like that, just because they haven't had sealant on them. But it's fun to do the little drippings and stuff. Anyhow, Yeah. So thanks for coming by, man. If you subscribe, and we'll hang out together whenever I'm back on, so you'll get a notification. Usually in the mornings, for sure, and sometimes in the evenings. We're on the same time zone, so that helps. So thanks for coming by, man. Have a good day, and we'll see you on the